The sky over Helion 7 burned red. Smoke rose from the destroyed cities below, thick and black against the alien sunset. Captain Tae Min crouched behind a collapsed wall, his pulse rifle warm in his hands. The war had been going on for 10 years. 10 years of death and destruction. 10 years of fighting an enemy he had never wanted to meet. "Captain, we need to move." His lieutenant's voice crackled through the comlink. "The bombardment is starting in 5 minutes." Tae Min looked at his squad. 6 soldiers, all exhausted, all running on their last reserves of energy. They had been behind enemy lines for 3 days, gathering intel on Velthran positions. The mission was almost complete. They just needed to get back to the extraction point. "Fall back," he ordered. "Stay low and move fast." They ran through the ruins of what had once been a Velthran settlement. Buildings lay broken like shattered bones. The Velthran were tall beings, almost 7 feet on average, with skin that shifted colors based on their emotions. Their technology was advanced, their weapons deadly. But humans were stubborn. Humans adapted. Humans survived. The first explosion hit 200 meters to their left. The ground shook. Tae Min stumbled but kept running. Another explosion, closer this time. His ears rang from the blast. "Scatter!" he shouted. "Get to cover!" His squad broke apart, each soldier diving for whatever shelter they could find. Tae Min ran toward a partially intact building. He could see the doorway ahead. Just 20 more meters. The blast wave hit him from behind. He felt himself lifted off his feet, thrown forward like a rag doll. Pain exploded through his body as he crashed into rubble. Something sharp pierced his side. He couldn't breathe. His vision blurred. He tried to move, but his body wouldn't respond. Blood pooled beneath him, warm and sticky. His comlink was dead. He couldn't hear anything except a high-pitched ringing in his ears. "This is it," he thought. "This is how it ends." Darkness crept in from the edges of his vision. He stopped fighting it. He let go. But death didn't come. Instead, he felt hands on him, strong hands lifting him carefully. He tried to open his eyes, but everything was too bright. He heard voices, speaking in the clicking melodic language of the Velthran. The enemy had found him. They would interrogate him, torture him for information, then kill him. He welcomed it. At least it would be over. Time became strange. He drifted in and out of consciousness. Sometimes he felt pain. Sometimes he felt nothing at all. Once he opened his eyes and saw a curved ceiling above him, glowing with soft blue light. Velthran architecture. He was in one of their buildings. A face appeared above him. A Velthran face, with large eyes that shimmered like oil on water. The skin was currently a pale blue color, which meant... What? He couldn't remember. His training on Velthran psychology felt like it had happened a lifetime ago. "Don't move," a voice said. The words came through a translator device, flat and emotionless. "You are badly injured." Tae Min tried to speak, but his throat was too dry. The Velthran tilted his head. No, her head. Something about the facial structure suggested female, though humans often had trouble telling the difference. "Water," he managed to croak. The Velthran disappeared from view. He heard sounds of movement. Then she returned with a container. She lifted his head gently and helped him drink. The water was cool and sweet, tasting faintly of minerals he didn't recognize. "Why?" he asked. "Why help me?" The Velthran was quiet for a long moment. Her skin shifted to a deeper blue. "Because the killing has to stop somewhere," she finally said. "My name is Kaelra." "Tae Min," he whispered, then passed out again. When he woke next, he felt better. The pain in his side had dulled to a persistent ache. He was lying on a sleeping platform covered with a thermal blanket. The room was small and underground, he realized, some kind of shelter or bunker. Kaelra sat in a corner. working on a device he didn't recognize. She looked up when she heard him stir. "You've been unconscious for 2 days," she said. "I treated your wounds as best I could. You'll survive." Taemin tried to sit up. His body protested, but he managed it. "Why?" he asked again. "You're Velthron. I'm human. We're enemies." Kael'ra's skin flickered through several colors: purple, green, back to blue. "I was an intelligence officer," she said. "Was. Past tense. I deserted 3 weeks ago." "Deserted?" "I was ordered to execute civilian prisoners, human civilians, children." Her voice remained flat through the translator, but her skin had turned dark gray. "I refused. I ran instead. My own people want me dead now." Taemin stared at her. In all his years fighting the Velthron, he had been taught they were monsters, cruel, emotionless, devoted to conquest. But here was one who had risked everything to save children, enemy children. "I don't understand," he said. "Neither do I," Kael'ra replied. "But I'm tired of killing. I'm tired of war. I found you in the rubble and I couldn't just leave you there to die. So I brought you here. This was an emergency shelter, abandoned. We should be safe for a while." "My squad." "I don't know, I'm sorry. The bombardment destroyed everything in a 3-kilometer radius. If they scattered like you did, they might have survived, or they might be dead. There's no way to know." Taemin felt grief wash over him, but he pushed it down. He had to focus on survival first. Grief could come later. "What now?" he asked. "Now we wait," Kael'ra said. "I've been monitoring military channels. There are rumors of peace talks. The war might actually be ending. Both sides have exhausted their resources. Both sides have lost too much. And if it doesn't end?" Kael'ra's skin shifted to green. "Then we figure out how to survive together. Enemy of my enemy, as you humans say." Over the next 3 weeks, they lived in that underground shelter. At first, they barely spoke. The silence was heavy with distrust and uncertainty. But slowly, carefully, they began to talk. Kael'ra taught him about Velthron culture. She explained the color changes in their skin, how it reflected their emotional state. Blue for calm, red for anger, green for curiosity, gray for sadness. She told him about their concept of honor, their complex social structures, their belief in soul bonds. Taemin shared human stories. He hummed songs from his childhood. He showed her pictures of Earth that he carried in his pocket. His sister Hyejin smiling at graduation. His parents standing in front of their house in Busan. He talked about Korean food, about the ocean, about things he missed. They argued sometimes. About the war, about who started it, about atrocities committed by both sides. But they also laughed. Kael'ra had a sharp sense of humor that caught him off guard. He found himself looking forward to their conversations. On the 21st day, Kael'ra's communication device chirped. She listened, her skin cycling through colors rapidly. When she looked at him, she was pale green. "It's over," she said quietly. "The war is over. They've agreed to a ceasefire." Taemin felt something break inside his chest. Relief, grief, joy, and sorrow all mixed together. 10 years of fighting, and it was just over. He looked at Kael'ra, this enemy who had saved his life, this person who had become something like a friend. "What happens to us?" he asked. "I don't know," she said. Her skin flickered blue and green. "I honestly don't know." 6 months had passed since the ceasefire. Taemin stood in the main hall of the Joint Peacekeeping Initiative headquarters in Seoul, watching humans and Velthron move past each other with careful politeness. Nobody trusted anyone yet. The peace was fragile, held together by treaties and the exhaustion of both sides. He had been assigned to the peacekeeping program after extensive debriefing. The military had been suspicious about his time with Kael'ra, questioning him for weeks about what information he might have shared with the enemy. He told them the truth. They had talked about culture, about life, about anything except military secrets. Eventually, they believed him, or at least they stopped asking. "Captain Taemin?" A human officer approached him with a data pad. "Your partner assignment has arrived, Bay 3. Taemin nodded and headed toward the arrival bays. He wondered what his Velthron partner would be like. Probably some career soldier, stiff and formal. The partnership program was supposed to build trust between the species, but most of the pairs barely tolerated each other. Bay 3 was crowded with people waiting for arriving shuttles. Taemin pushed through to the front just as the doors opened. Velthran officers began filing out, their skin displaying various shades of blue and gray. Neutral colors, cautious colors. Then he saw her. Kalara stepped off the shuttle wearing a formal peacekeeping uniform. Her skin flickered through several colors when she spotted him. Blue, green, purple, then back to blue. Surprise, curiosity, pleasure, then forced calm. "You," he said stupidly. "Me," she replied. Her translator had been upgraded. It now carried subtle tones of emotion. She sounded as shocked as he felt. The officer who had sent him here appeared beside them. "Good, you've met. Captain Taemin, Officer Kalara, you two will be working together for the foreseeable future. Your first assignment is monitoring the demilitarized zone near the old border. Reports of smuggling activity. Any questions?" They both shook their heads. The officer left them standing there, staring at each other. "I didn't know it would be you," Kalara said quietly. "Neither did I." Taemin felt a strange mixture of emotions. He was happy to see her alive and well. But things were different now. They weren't two desperate people hiding from war anymore. They were representatives of their governments, expected to maintain professional distance. "We should get our equipment," Kalara said. "The briefing starts in an hour." They fell into step together, walking through the headquarters. People stared at them. Some humans looked hostile. Some Velthron displayed red-tinged skin, showing disapproval. Both sides had extremists who wanted the war to start again. Their first mission took them to a ruined industrial zone on the edge of the demilitarized area. Intelligence suggested smugglers were moving weapons through old tunnels. Taemin and Kalara worked together smoothly, falling into patterns from their time in the shelter. He watched the left, she watched the right. He signaled in human military code, she responded in Velthron tactical gestures. Somehow, they understood each other. They found the smuggling operation in an abandoned factory. Crates of plasma rifles, human and Velthron designs, stacked floor to ceiling. Before they could report it, armed figures surrounded them, both species, extremists working together to restart the war. "Drop your weapons," a human man ordered. He had the look of a former soldier gone wrong. Taemin and Kalara exchanged glances. Without speaking, they moved. Taemin dropped and rolled left while Kalara launched herself right. Their opponents fired but hit empty air. Training and instinct took over. Taemin took down 2 attackers while Kalara disabled 3 more with precise strikes. The fight lasted less than 2 minutes. When it was over, they stood back to back, breathing hard, surrounded by groaning smugglers. "Just like old times," Kalara said. Her skin was bright green, exhilaration. Taemin laughed despite himself. "Yeah, just like old times." Their success in breaking up the smuggling ring made news on both sides. Suddenly, Taemin and Kalara were famous, the perfect partnership, proof that humans and Velthron could work together. They gave interviews, attended ceremonies, smiled for cameras. But Taemin noticed Kalara acting strangely. She seemed distracted during their patrols. Her skin would flicker through colors for no apparent reason. She avoided his eyes sometimes. "Are you okay?" he asked one evening as they filed reports. "Fine," she said quickly. Too quickly. "Just tired." He didn't believe her but didn't push. Maybe she was overwhelmed by the attention. He certainly was. A week later, his sister Haye-Jin visited the headquarters. She was a xenobiologist now, studying Velthron physiology for medical research. She had asked to meet Kael'ra, and Tai-Min had agreed. They met in a small cafe near the headquarters. Hee-Jin bounced with excitement when she saw Kael'ra. "This is amazing," she said. "I've been studying Velthron biology, but I've never had a chance to just talk to someone. Can I ask you questions? Is that rude?" "I don't want to be rude." Kael'ra's skin turned light green, amused. "You can ask. I'll answer what I'm comfortable with." They talked for 2 hours. Hye-Jin asked about everything from Velthron diet to sleep patterns to emotional responses. Kael'ra answered patiently, seeming to relax as the conversation went on. "What about relationships?" Hye-Jin asked. "I read about something called Kethnar in the academic texts, but the translation was unclear." Kael'ra's skin flashed purple, then gray. "Kethnar is difficult to explain. It's a life bond, more than marriage. When two Velthron form deep emotional connection, sometimes their biology responds. They become linked, empathically, biochemically." "So it's involuntary?" Hye-Jin leaned forward, fascinated. "It doesn't happen often, only with truly profound connections, and it requires time together, shared experiences, genuine care for each other." Kael'ra's skin was now firmly gray, uncomfortable. Once it forms, it's permanent. Breaking a Kethnar bond causes severe physical and psychological damage to both individuals. Tai-Min felt a strange chill. "Have you ever formed one?" Kael'ra wouldn't meet his eyes. "That's personal," she said quietly. The conversation moved on, but Tai-Min couldn't shake the feeling that something important had just been said. Their next major assignment came 2 weeks later. Intelligence had uncovered a conspiracy. Rogue elements from both militaries were planning false flag attacks to restart the war. A human base would be bombed and blamed on Velthron. A Velthron colony would be destroyed and blamed on humans. The fragile peace would shatter. Tai-Min and Kael'ra were assigned to investigate. They followed leads across 3 different worlds, interviewing witnesses, tracking communications, gathering evidence. They worked long hours, sometimes going days without sleep. During a stakeout on a remote moon, waiting for a conspirator to appear, they talked about the war, about the things they had seen, the friends they had lost, the guilt they both carried. "I killed 17 humans," Kael'ra said quietly. "In combat, I remember all their faces." "I killed more than that," Tai-Min replied. "Velthron soldiers. I told myself they were the enemy, that it was justified." "Was it?" "I don't know anymore." They sat in silence for a while. Then Kael'ra's skin flickered purple. "I'm glad you survived the war," she said. "I'm glad I found you in that rubble." "Me too," he said, and meant it. They broke the conspiracy wide open 3 days later. The evidence they gathered led to arrests on both sides. High-ranking officers were removed from power. The plot was exposed publicly. Tai-Min and Kael'ra became heroes again, symbols of cooperation defeating extremism. But Kael'ra was getting worse. Her skin changed colors randomly now. She seemed exhausted all the time. She flinched when Tai-Min got too close, as if his presence caused her physical pain. "Kael'ra, please," he said after another successful mission. "Tell me what's wrong. You're not okay." She looked at him, and for the first time, he saw fear in her expression. Her skin was pale gray, almost white. "I need to tell you something," she said. "Something I should have told you months ago. But I was afraid." "Afraid of what?" "Afraid you'd hate me." She took a shaky breath. "Tai-Min, on Helion 7, when I saved your life, something happened. Something I didn't fully understand at the time." "What happened?" Her skin turned deep purple. I started forming a Kethnar bond. With you. Taemin stared at Kael'ra, trying to process what she had just said. A bond. An alien biological bond. Connecting them. What does that mean? He asked carefully. Kael'ra's skin remained purple, distressed. It means my body has been adapting to yours. My biochemistry is changing to match your presence. I can sense your emotions sometimes, feel when you're nearby. It's gotten stronger every day we've spent together. And you didn't think to tell me this? I wasn't sure at first. By the time I was certain, I was afraid. This kind of bond, it doesn't happen between different species. There's no record of it in our entire history. I thought maybe it would fade, but it hasn't. It's getting worse. Taemin stood up and walked to the window. Outside, Sol's light sparkled in the darkness. He felt betrayed, manipulated. So what? You chose this? You made me your bonded partner without asking? No. Kael'ra's skin flashed red, anger, or maybe hurt. I didn't choose it. The bond forms naturally in response to genuine connection. I can't control it any more than you can control your heartbeat. It happened because... She paused. Because I care about you, deeply, and my body responded to that. Does it affect me? Am I bonded to you too? I don't know. You're human. Your biology is different. There's no data on this. She looked miserable. I'm sorry. I should have told you sooner. Taemin felt a headache building behind his eyes. I need time to think, he said. I need space. He requested a transfer the next day. The peacekeeping program assigned him to a different sector with a different partner, a Velthron named Rixtal. They were sent to refugee camps on the outer colonies, helping displaced people rebuild their lives. Rixtal was professional and distant. They worked well together but never talked about anything personal. It was exactly what Taemin thought he wanted. But every night, lying in his bunk, he thought about Kael'ra. He wondered if she was okay. He felt a strange ache in his chest that wouldn't go away. Meanwhile, their fame continued to grow. The peacekeeping initiative wanted to showcase their success stories. Taemin and Kael'ra were invited on a diplomatic tour, visiting both human and Velthron worlds to promote cooperation. Taemin tried to decline, but his commanding officer insisted. This is bigger than your personal issues, the officer said. You two are symbols of peace. We need you. So Taemin found himself on a shuttle heading to Velthas Prime, the Velthron homeworld. Kael'ra would meet him there. He hadn't seen her in 3 months. Velthas Prime was beautiful and alien. The gravity was heavier, making every step feel weighted. The cities glowed with bioluminescent architecture, buildings that seemed to grow rather than being built. The air smelled like copper and flowers. Kael'ra met him at the spaceport. She looked thinner. Her skin was pale blue but kept flickering to gray. She moved carefully, as if in pain. You look terrible, he said before he could stop himself. Thank you, she replied. Her translator carried a note of dry humor. You look well. The separation has been good for you. He wanted to say it hadn't been good at all, that he'd been miserable, but the words stuck in his throat. They were taken to meet High Commander Thelvon, Kael'ra's former mentor. The commander was imposing, nearly 8 feet tall, with skin that shifted between dark blue and deep red. Disapproval radiated from him. So this is the human, Thelvon said in Velthron. Taemin's translator rendered it flat and cold. The one who has corrupted you. Commander, please, Kael'ra said. Captain Taemin is a decorated officer and a valuable partner. He is short-lived and emotional. Humans are chaos given form. They make decisions based on feelings rather than logic. And you, Kael'ra, have become just like them. Human-touched, polluted. Taemin felt anger flash through him. with respect. Commander, my people could say the same about yours. You claim logic, but you started a war over a border dispute. You killed millions over territory. That's not logical. That's pride. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Thelvon's skin went deep red. Rage. Kael'ra stepped between them quickly. Gentlemen, please. We're here to promote peace, not restart old arguments. The meeting ended badly. Thelvon dismissed them with barely concealed contempt. As they left, Kael'ra explained quietly, in our culture, contradicting a superior directly is a severe insult. You essentially challenged his honor. He insulted me first, Taemin said. Yes, but you're human. He expected you to not understand. By responding with knowledge of our culture, you proved you did understand, which made it worse. Taemin wanted to hit something. Everything about this world felt wrong. The gravity, the light, the social rules he couldn't grasp. He was an outsider here, and everyone knew it. The formal ceremony that evening was a disaster. Taemin was supposed to present a token of peace to a council of Velthron elders. He offered it with his left hand, not knowing that the left hand was used for waste disposal in Velthron culture. The gesture was seen as deliberately offensive. The council demanded an apology. Taemin gave one, but the damage was done. News of the incident spread. Human media called the Velthron overly sensitive. Velthron media called Taemin crude and disrespectful. The diplomatic tour was quickly canceled. Kael'ra defended him publicly, giving an interview where she explained it was an honest mistake. But this only made things worse for her. She was accused of betraying her own people, of choosing a human over her own species. They returned to Earth in disgrace. Taemin expected to be reassigned again, maybe even discharged. Instead, he was sent home to Busan for mandatory leave. Rest and recovery, they called it. His childhood friend Wu Jin met him at the train station. Wu Jin was a journalist now, working on a documentary about the war's aftermath. You look like death, Wu Jin said cheerfully. Come on! Your mom has been cooking for 3 days straight. She's determined to feed you back to health. Home felt surreal after months in space. His parents' house was exactly as he remembered. His mother Subin cried when she saw him. His father Dong-hyun gripped his shoulder silently, which was his way of showing emotion. Hye-jin arrived the next day. She cornered him in his old bedroom. We need to talk about Kael'ra, she said without preamble. There's nothing to talk about. Yes, there is. Taemin, I've been researching the Kethnar bond. It's serious. If she's truly bonded to you and you're staying apart, it's killing her. Killing her? That's dramatic. No, it's literal. Hye-jin pulled out her data pad, showing him charts and medical scans. I convinced her to let me run some tests before you left for Vel'Thas Prime. Her immune system is degrading. Her neural patterns are unstable. The bond creates a physiological dependence. Separation causes withdrawal symptoms similar to severe illness. Taemin felt cold. She never said anything. She wouldn't. It's shameful in Velthron culture to be so dependent on another being. But Taemin, you need to understand something else. Hye-jin pulled up another scan. I tested you too. Your blood work from your last physical. And you're changing too. It's subtle, but your biochemistry is adapting. Your neural activity shows unusual patterns when you talk about her. You might not have the full Velthron bond structure, but you're responding to it. The connection is mutual. Taemin sat on his old bed, feeling the world tilt. So what are you saying? I'm saying the bond didn't make you care about her. It formed because you already cared. Biology follows emotion, not the other way around. Hye-jin sat beside him. The question is, what are you going to do about it? That night, Wu Jin came to interview him for the documentary. They sat in a cafe near the beach, drinking coffee while the camera recorded. Do you regret it? Wu Jin asked. Saving each other during the war, becoming partners? Taemin thought about it. No, he said finally. Kaelra is the bravest person I know. She gave up everything for what she believed was right. She saved my life when she could have left me to die. She's been a better partner than I deserve. Then why are you avoiding her? Because I'm afraid. The admission came out quieter than he intended. I'm afraid of what the bond means. I'm afraid I don't have a choice anymore. I'm afraid that my feelings aren't real, that they're just alien biology manipulating me. Wu Jin turned off the camera. You know that's stupid, right? You cared about her before you knew about any bond. I can see it in the way you talk about her. This isn't manipulation. This is just you being scared of committing to something difficult. 3 days later, Hye-jin called him in a panic. It's Kaelra, she said. She collapsed during a training exercise. They've taken her to the medical facility. Taemin, you need to come. Now. Taemin ran through the medical facility's corridors, his heart pounding. Hye-jin met him outside the intensive care unit, her face pale. How bad is it? He asked. Bad. The bond degradation is causing cascade failure in her immune system. Her body is attacking itself. Hye-jin grabbed his arm. Taemin, they're not sure she'll make it through the night. The Velthron doctors have never seen anything like this. They don't know how to treat it. Through the observation window, Taemin could see Kaelra lying on a medical bed. Her skin was almost white, flickering weakly through pale colors. Tubes and monitors connected to her body. She looked so small and fragile. Can I see her? He asked. The doctors said yes. Actually, they insisted. They think your presence might stabilize her. Hye-jin opened the door. Go. Taemin walked into the room slowly. The medical equipment beeped steadily. Kaelra's eyes were closed. He sat in the chair beside her bed and carefully took her hand. Her skin felt cool and dry. Hey, he said quietly. It's me. I'm here. Kaelra's eyes fluttered open. Her skin shifted slightly toward blue. Recognition. Taemin, she whispered. Her voice was weak, barely audible. You shouldn't be here. You needed space. Forget space. I'm an idiot. He held her hand gently. Hye-jin told me what's happening. Why didn't you tell me it was this serious? Didn't want to manipulate you. Didn't want you to stay because of guilt or obligation. A ghost of a smile crossed her face. Stupid pride. Yeah, well, we're both stupid. Taemin felt tears building, but pushed them back. I'm not leaving again, do you hear me? We'll figure this out together. The monitors showed Kaelra's vital signs improving slightly. Her skin color deepened from white to pale blue. The doctors nodded to each other, making notes. Over the next 3 days, Taemin stayed by her side. He slept in the chair. He talked to her about everything and nothing. He told her stories about growing up in Busan, about his family, about the ocean. She grew stronger slowly, color returning to her skin. Dr. Nari, a xenopsychologist specializing in interspecies relations, visited on the 4th day. She was an older woman with kind eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. I've been studying your case, she said, sitting across from Taemin. The Kethnar bond is fascinating from a medical perspective. Terrifying for you personally, I imagine. That's one way to put it, Taemin said. Let me explain what's happening, because I think there's confusion about what this bond actually is. Dr. Nari pulled up holographic displays. The bond doesn't create emotions. It doesn't manufacture feelings that aren't there. What it does is amplify and stabilize emotional connections that already exist naturally. So it's not mind control? No. If you didn't genuinely care for Kaelra, the bond wouldn't have formed in the first place. It requires authentic emotional connection as a foundation. What happened is that your shared experiences created a deep bond, and her Velthron biology responded to that by forming a physiological link. Taemin looked at Kaelra, who was sleeping peacefully now. And my side? Hye-jin said I'm changing too. Yes, Human biology is more adaptable than we thought. Your body is responding to the bond, creating reciprocal connections. You're not fully Kethnar bonded the way a Velthron would be, but you're developing your own version of it. A hybrid form. What does that mean for us? Dr. Nari smiled. It means you're creating something new, something unprecedented, a bond between species that shouldn't be possible but is happening anyway. She paused. But there's something you need to know about Velthron culture. For them, a Kethnar bond is equivalent to marriage, but much more serious. It's a life commitment, and it requires formal recognition. Formal recognition. A proposal ceremony. The bonded individual must publicly declare their intention and ask their partner's family for blessing. Without this, the bond is considered illegitimate. Kael'ra would be dishonored among her people. Tai-Min felt a weight settle on his chest. Her people already reject her. They call her human-touched, which makes the ceremony even more important. It's her way of saying that the bond is real, that it's worthy of respect, regardless of what others think. Dr. Nari stood. Think about it, but don't take too long. She's recovering now, but the bond instability will return if things remain unresolved. After she left, Tai-Min sat quietly, watching Kael'ra sleep. Marriage, or the Velthron equivalent. A life commitment to someone from a different species, a different world. It should have terrified him. Instead, he felt calm, clear. He loved her. It was that simple and that complicated. He had loved her since Hellion 7, maybe even before he consciously recognized it. The bond hadn't created that feeling. It had just made it impossible to ignore. Kael'ra woke up a few hours later. Her skin was now a healthy blue color. She looked at him and smiled. "You're still here." "Told you I wasn't leaving." He squeezed her hand. "How do you feel?" "Better. Much better." She sat up slowly. "The doctors said having you near helps. Your presence stabilizes the bond. Kael'ra, we need to talk. About us. About the bond. About everything." She looked nervous, purple flickering at the edges of her skin. "Okay. I'm sorry I ran. I was scared. The idea that something was making decisions for me, controlling my feelings, it felt like losing my freedom. But I've realized something." He took a breath. "The bond didn't make me care about you. I cared first. I cared when we were in that shelter. I cared when we were partners. I cared enough that my biology responded to it. Tai-Min, let me finish. I love you. Not because of alien biochemistry. Because you're brave and kind and you make me laugh. Because you challenge me to be better. Because when I'm with you, everything feels right." He laughed shakily. "The bond just made me admit what I was too scared to say." Kael'ra's skin turned bright green. Joy. Tears ran down her face, crystalline and catching the light. "I love you too," she whispered. "I have for so long." They sat together, holding hands, letting the truth settle between them. Finally, something that had been twisted and complicated became simple. But there was still a problem. Dr. Nari had mentioned it. The proposal ceremony. The need for family blessing. "There's something else we need to discuss," Kael'ra said quietly. "In Velthron tradition, a Kethnar bond must be formalized. I need to propose to you properly, following our customs. And I need your family's blessing." "My family?" Tai-Min thought about his father, a retired military officer who had fought the Velthron for years. His father had been polite about Tai-Min's partnership with Kael'ra, but accepting her as a daughter-in-law? That was different. "I know it's difficult. Your father fought in the war. He lost friends to my people, but without his blessing, the bond remains illegitimate. I would be..." She struggled for words. "Dishonored is the closest translation. It would mean I chose desire over propriety, that our connection is shameful." "It's not shameful," Tae-min said firmly. It's the most real thing in my life. Then help me make it official. Help me prove that this bond is worthy of respect. Kaelra's skin was determined blue. Let me meet your family properly. Let me ask for their blessing. Tae-min thought about his father's face, his stern expectations, his pride in tradition. Then he thought about losing Kaelra, about watching her suffer because he was too afraid to fight for them. Okay, he said. We'll do it. I'll arrange a meeting. Kaelra smiled, relieved and terrified at once. Thank you. 3 days later, Tae-min took Kaelra home to Busan. His mother, Subin, greeted them at the door, welcoming Kaelra warmly despite her obvious nervousness. Hyejin was already there, bouncing with excitement. His father, Dong-hyun, sat in the living room, his expression unreadable. He looked at Kaelra for a long moment. Welcome to our home, he said formally. Nothing more. They sat down for tea. The atmosphere was tense. Kaelra's skin flickered between blue and gray, showing her anxiety. She had dressed in formal Velthran ceremonial clothes, beautiful and alien. Finally, Kaelra stood. She moved to the center of the room and knelt, which Tae-min knew was significant. Velthran rarely knelt to anyone, especially not to another species. Dong-hyun, father of Tae-min, she began, I come before you to request permission to formalize a Kethnar bond with your son. Kaelra knelt in the center of the living room, her formal robes pooling around her. Tae-min's family watched in stunned silence. His father Dong-hyun's expression was unreadable. I know this is unusual, Kaelra continued. Her translator carried the weight of her emotions. I am Velthran. Your son is human. Our peoples were enemies. But during the war, Tae-min showed me that enemies can become friends. Friends can become family, and family can become something more. She touched her chest, where Tae-min knew the Velthran heart sat. The Kethnar bond is our most sacred commitment. It is not entered lightly. It means I give my life to his, my future to his, my honor to his. I ask your blessing not because tradition demands it, but because I want to be part of this family. I want to honor the people who raised the man I love. Dong-hyun stood slowly. He walked toward Kaelra, and Tae-min tensed, unsure what his father would do. Dong-hyun stopped in front of her, looking down at this alien being kneeling in his home. Stand up, he said quietly. Kaelra rose, her skin flickering nervously between blue and gray. I fought your people for 10 years, Dong-hyun said. I lost friends, brothers in arms, men and women I commanded who never came home. I saw cities burned, families destroyed. Do you understand what you're asking me to forgive? Yes, Kaelra said, and I don't ask for forgiveness. I ask for a chance to prove that I am not my species' worst actions, that your son is not his species' worst actions, that together we can be something better than what came before. Dong-hyun was silent for a long time. Then he shook his head. No. Tae-min felt his heart drop. Kaelra's skin went pale. No, Dong-hyun repeated. I cannot give my blessing to this. Father, Tae-min started. Dong-hyun held up a hand. Let me finish. He looked at Kaelra directly. I cannot give my blessing because you are asking the wrong question. You speak of honor, of tradition, of sacrifice, but you haven't asked the most important thing. What's that? Kaelra asked quietly. You haven't asked if you will make my son happy, if you will stand by him when things are hard, if you will love him not just today, but tomorrow, and the day after, and every day for the rest of your lives. Dong-hyun's voice softened. My son almost died in that war. You saved him. You brought him home. You've protected him, worked beside him, and loved him enough that your own body is changing to be near him. so I don't need to give you permission to marry him. You've already proven yourself 100 times over. Kael'ra's skin flashed through a rainbow of colors: confusion, hope, disbelief. But, Dong-Yun continued, there is one condition. If Kael'ra follows Velthron tradition and proposes to my son, then Taemin must also propose to her following human tradition. Both cultures honored, both families respected. Agreed? Taemin felt tears in his eyes. Agreed. Su-bin, who had been silent until now, stepped forward. Welcome to the family, Kael'ra, she said warmly. We should start planning. A dual ceremony will be complicated. Yejin squealed and hugged Kael'ra, who looked overwhelmed but happy. Her skin had settled into a bright, joyful green. The next month was chaos. The peacekeeping initiative wanted to make the ceremony public, a symbol of unity between species. Kael'ra's people sent a delegation, though High Commander Thelvan notably refused to attend. Human and Velthran officials argued about every detail. But in the quiet moments, Taemin and Kael'ra focused on what mattered. They wrote their vows, they talked about their future, they planned a life together despite all the obstacles. The ceremony took place on a neutral colony world called New Haven, where humans and Velthron had been living together since the ceasefire. A huge crowd gathered, both species mixing together. Kael'ra wore traditional Velthron bonding robes, shimmering with bioluminescent patterns. Taemin wore a formal human suit. They stood together on a platform, visible to everyone. The Velthron portion came first. Kael'ra spoke in her native language, the words flowing like music. The translator rendered it into Korean and other human languages. I stand before you as Kael'ra, daughter of Velthus Prime, officer of the peacekeeping forces, and I claim the Kethnar bond with Taemin, son of Earth. This bond was not chosen through logic or strategy. It was not arranged by families or governments. It formed because two souls recognized each other across the darkness of war. She turned to Taemin, taking his hands. I give you my loyalty. I give you my strength. I give you my future. Will you accept this bond? I accept, Taemin said clearly. The Velthron delegation murmured approval. Kael'ra's skin glowed bright green with happiness. Then it was Taemin's turn. He had practiced this moment 100 times, but his hands still shook as he pulled out a simple ring. It was made from metal salvaged from the shelter on Helion 7, where they had first become friends. Kael'ra, he began in Korean, knowing the translator would carry his words to everyone. I'm not good at speeches. I'm just a soldier. But you've taught me that being a soldier means protecting what matters. And you matter more than anything else in this universe. He knelt, holding up the ring. You saved my life when you could have let me die. You showed me that peace is possible. You made me believe in hope again. So I'm asking you, in front of everyone we know, in front of both our peoples, will you marry me? Kael'ra's skin cycled through every color in rapid succession. Joy, love, excitement, all blending together. Yes, she said. Yes, I will. The crowd erupted in cheers, humans and Velthron together, celebrating something that shouldn't have been possible. Taemin slipped the ring onto her finger. It looked strange against her color-shifting skin, but perfect somehow. They kissed, and more cheers filled the air. Dr. Nari officiated the final part, declaring them bonded under both Velthron and human law. Let this union be a symbol, she announced, a proof that love transcends species, culture, and history. What was once impossible is now real. The celebration lasted late into the night. Taemin's family mingled with Velthron delegates. Hyojin talked excitedly with Velthron scientists about the biological implications of the bond. Woo Jin recorded everything for his documentary. At one point, High Commander Thelvon appeared at the edge of the celebration. He didn't approach, but he watched. Kelra saw him, and her skin flickered uncertain gray. "Should I talk to him?" she asked Taimin. "Only if you want to," he said. Kelra walked over to her former mentor. They spoke quietly for a few minutes. When she returned, her skin was calm blue. "What did he say?" Taimin asked. "He said I've dishonored everything he taught me." She smiled. "But he also said that perhaps honor isn't what he thought it was. That perhaps I'm teaching him something new. It's not acceptance, but it's a start." 6 months passed. Taimin and Kaelra were assigned to New Haven permanently, helping build the integrated colony. They lived in a small house that blended human and Velthran architecture. Every day brought new challenges, cultural misunderstandings, prejudice from both sides, practical problems of living between two worlds. But they faced it together. And slowly, things changed. More humans and Velthran formed friendships. A few even formed romantic relationships, inspired by Taimin and Kaelra's example. Hyajin's research into the Kethnar bond led to breakthroughs in xenobiology. One evening, Taimin came home to find Kaelra standing on their balcony, watching the sunset. New Haven's sky turned purple and gold, a blend of colors sacred to both their cultures. "You're quiet," he said, wrapping his arms around her from behind. "I've been thinking," she said. Her skin was flickering between blue and green, calm and excited. "About the future. About us." "What about us?" She turned to face him. "Hyajin finished her research. The compatibility treatments worked. It's possible now." Taimin's heart skipped. "Possible?" "For us to have a child. A biological child. Human and Velthran." Her skin turned bright green. "I'm pregnant, Taimin. We're going to have a baby." He stared at her, unable to speak. A baby. Their baby. A blend of both their species. Something that should have been impossible. "Are you happy?" Kaelra asked, nervous. "I know we didn't plan this, and it will be complicated, and our child will face challenges." He kissed her, cutting off her worried words. "I'm terrified," he admitted, "and I'm happier than I've ever been." "How is that possible?" She laughed, that musical sound he loved. "Because love is always terrifying, and always worth it." They stood together on the balcony, holding each other, watching the sun set on a world that was learning to blend two cultures into something new. Their child would grow up in this world. Their child would be a symbol of hope, proof that what seemed impossible could become reality. It wouldn't be easy. There would be prejudice, challenges, questions about identity and belonging. But Taimin and Kaelra had survived a war, built a bond across species barriers, and created a family from two different worlds. If they could do that, they could do anything. Taimin felt the Kethnar bond humming between them, warm and steady. It was a reminder that love could grow in the most unlikely places, that peace could bloom from the ashes of war, that two beings from different stars could find each other and choose to build something beautiful together. The war had ended, and in its place, love had begun. That was enough. That was everything.